Good morning. I'm Brooks Painter, Director of Winemaking at Castello de Amorosa. We're standing here in the middle of May in Block 7, which is Cabernet Sauvignon, right in front of Castello de Amorosa. What we're doing in the vineyard today is adjusting the number of shoots on each vine, and this is referred to as suckering. And the reason we're doing this activity is we're trying to get back to the limited number of shoots on the vine, only those shoots where we want the crop or the clusters to form for this year's harvest. By limiting the number of shoots, that limits the crop, helps us achieve the target, which is typically 3 to 3.5 tons per acre. And by removing the shoots, it also opens up the canopy and provides the appropriate light and air environment for proper ripening of the grapes. So there are three actual regions of the vine that we're working on this morning. First is the trunk, and that is coming up from the soil up to the trellis. You can see the trellis right behind me. And then the trunk will be suckered and all those shoots will be removed. Then we move to the cordon, which is at the fruiting wire, and this is the basic structure of the vine that's along the wire that holds the vine in place. We'll remove any additional shoots that were not intentionally left there by our pruning, which occurred in dormancy back in January. So the vines at this stage, going back about 6 weeks, they started pushing and coming out of dormancy. After 6 weeks of growth, we've had very nice spring weather, moderate rainfall, and very nice temperatures. And so as you can see, we have some shoots that range in size from about 8 to 18 inches. We're going to be removing those shoots and down to just 2 shoots per spur position, and the spur is what was left by the pruners. The intention is that we have 2 shoots. Each shoot might potentially have 2 clusters, so each spur position will be carrying up to 4 clusters. In general, it averages more like 3 clusters per spur. So the goal of this suckering is to remove the shoots where there's not going to be any crop. And by doing so, we get back to the initial intention that we had at pruning when we were going through and leaving a certain number of shoots for every vine, potential shoots for every vine. And this helps us balance the crop to the appropriate amount of tons per acre or pounds per vine. There's many ways you can think about that. You can think of pounds per linear feet of cordon or trellis, pounds per vine, or pounds per acre. And all of these translate into quality parameters for the wine. Typically for Cabernet Sauvignon at the Castle in this block, we'll be harvesting around 3 to 3.5 tons per acre. And by limiting the crop like that, we will produce some very concentrated, very flavorful wines that will have appropriate tannin and acid balance and be very long-lived. Another important activity that we're doing in the springtime is irrigation of the vines. And this is through a drip irrigation system. Each vine may have a half a gallon up to a 1 gallon emitter and possibly even 2 emitters per vine. It really depends on the soil characteristics, which can vary quite a bit even within the same block. We're standing now in Block 7 in front of the castle, and this block has fairly shallow soil, gravelly, well-drained, and so this vineyard, beginning in another week or two, is going to start getting probably weekly irrigations. And this would be from 5 to 8 gallons per vine typically. If we're going through a heat wave or anticipate a big weather event with a lot of heat, we might water just a little bit more frequently or give them a larger shot. And this is really important to keep the vines, the young shoots, the green shoots, growing and active during the initial part of the season. But we don't want to give too much water so that it's unrestrained growth. By monitoring soil moisture, we can evaluate what the need for water of each vine and each block is, and then we act appropriately and schedule our irrigations. Typically, they're weekly irrigations. Sometimes we might do 2 irrigations a week if it's a very hot, unseasonably hot spell. We don't want to give the vine excessive amounts of water because that would stimulate the growth more than what we desire. We want to have a very nice, even growth and nice development, good shoot length, so that we have the appropriate number of leaves to ripen the clusters of grapes that are on the shoot. This is really important to keep the vines green and healthy and growing until what we call veraison, which is when the berries really start softening and the flavor starts developing, the color starts developing, and then from that point on, we just do what we refer to as our maintenance irrigation, which will then take us through harvest.